Good morning, I'm Emily Younger. Today is Saturday, April 4th. We'll get to your top stories in just a few moments, but first we're following breaking news this morning. New Mexico State Police are investigating a police shooting in Edgewood. They say a law enforcement officer shot and killed a suspect, but they haven't said which agency that officer is with. State police say there was some kind of altercation involving multiple people in multiple scenes overnight. We'll keep you updated as information comes into our newsroom. As always, stay with us on air and online at KRQE.com for the latest. Now let's get a look at weather. Here's Chris Gilson.
Good Saturday morning. The breezes that we had during the overnight hours out of the canyon are coming down. Temperatures starting out on the chilly side in the low to mid 40s. By the afternoon, it will be warmer today compared to your Friday. Temperatures into lower 60s by lunchtime, and we'll top out in the low to mid 70s, but it will be breezy at times throughout the day today, with high temperatures topping out in the 60s in Santa Fe and Taos, middle 60s in Roswell and Carlsbad, in the 70s in TRC and Alamogordo. Now, there is a chance for some rain today along with stronger winds. We'll talk about that in your full forecast in just a few minutes.
APD Police Chief Gordon Eden is taking to YouTube asking for your help in solving the deadly Los Altos skate park shooting.
We know from witnesses that have cooperated that there were many people out there that night. There were many people that had cell phone video. We need answers, and the only people right now that can provide us with answers are eyewitnesses.
Police say at least 4 people fired shots during the shooting at the popular skate park late last month. 17-year-old Jaquise Lewis was killed and 6 others injured. If you have any information about the shooting, call APD. There's no sign of a break-in, but expensive stuff is going missing from apartments in a gated community on UNM's campus. The thieves have hit the student family housing near University and Cesar Chavez 9 times in the last 2 months, taking nearly $30,000 worth of jewelry. In every case, residents say there's no sign of forced entry. They suspect it's an employee with a key. One man says crooks took his wife's $8,000 wedding set, passed down from her grandmother.
The emotional value is even more because you can understand it is a wedding set, so it has a lot of memories.
UNM police say they have some leads, but would not say if they're looking into employees at the apartment complex. They're working on getting new keys for each unit. UNM police are looking for a man who robbed a student and his girlfriend at gunpoint early Friday morning. It happened near the Casas del Rio dorms. The man was in an SUV following the pair and suddenly jumped out of his vehicle and pointed a gun at the man's chest, telling him to hand over everything he had. After getting a wallet and cell phone, he took off in a dark-colored SUV. Both victims are okay, just shaken up. An Albuquerque man accused of blinding his 15-year-old girlfriend will have to come up with a whole lot of money to get out of jail. 38-year-old David Cordova faced a judge Friday morning for kidnapping and child abuse charges. Police say in February, Cordova forced the teen into his car at gunpoint and stabbed her eye with pliers. He was mad someone threatened to report the illegal relationship. Cordova's attorney wanted a lower bond.
Your Honor, I would not describe this as an extensive criminal history by any means. What I've heard is that he has apparently successfully completed a conditional discharge on his only prior felony level charge.
The judge didn't agree. His bond was set at $250,000, and he got another $50,000 bond for a different armed robbery case. After 7 years of planning, it's back to the drawing board to find ways to improve the West Side's busiest road. In January, the Environmental Planning Commission gave the green light to move forward on the Coors Corridor project. It would have revamped an 11-mile stretch from Bridge to Alameda with bus lanes and an elevated road. But city councilors were concerned that it could block the views of the Bosque and San Diaz, as well as widening Coors too much, putting the road in the backyards of homes.
There needs to be additional discussions. We need to meet with the business community. We need to meet with the neighborhood associations to find out what they would like to see done.
Now there will need to be more public hearings, studies, and plans that could take years. A new survey suggests Albuquerque doesn't have enough apartment options to keep young professionals in the city. The survey by the Apartment Association and Apartment Advisors shows less than 7% of apartments were built with millennials in mind, but about 28% of the city's population is made up of them. The survey found those young people ended up moving to different areas that have apartments that fit their needs. They want high-speed internet included, things to do in biking distance, studios, and nearby coffee shops. A trio of city councilors want to use $11 million from an open space trust fund to buy land in and around Albuquerque, including patches of the bosque and wide tracts of land in the foothills and on the mesas. The trust fund is made up of money from the sale of city land. The interest is used to maintain open space. The idea would have to pass city council. 3 more students have been found alive at the site of Thursday's deadly attack in Kenya. Sources tell reporters one of the students was found under a pile of bodies, another in a closet, and the third student was found hiding in a bathroom. Deborah Pata spoke with the survivor about what happened.
Security forces rushed to the university campus, but it was too late. The Al-Shabaab gunmen were already inside the students' dormitories. I can hear students screaming, he says. Daisy Achieng heard the screaming too. She repeatedly heard the attackers single out Christians.
They were being asked some few questions from the Quran. If you get it correct, you're spared. If you get it wrong, you're shot on the spot.
We found Achieng at this makeshift shelter, set up for the shell-shocked victims of the siege. At one point, she told us she heard a phone ring. It was the mother of one of the students taken hostage.
He took the phone from her and told the lady that I'm going to kill your child right now, so no, it's the last time you're going to hear a voice. So hear me kill her, and I had a gunshot.
By nightfall, security forces freed the students. As Achieng stumbled to safety, she said she saw many of her friends lying face down on the ground. Then she realized they'd been murdered.
Some had been shot. They had many gunshot wounds. Some had had their throats slit. Some had their tongues sticking out. It was just a horrifying sight.
This is a country awash with grief, as anguished relatives hope for a miracle, but expect the worst.
But grief is also turning to anger as relatives want to know why the university merely sent letters to students warning of an imminent attack without taking additional security measures. This criticism has also been leveled at the government, who have been accused of failing to protect these young people. Deborah Patter, CBS News, Garissa, Kenya.
A Philadelphia woman has been charged with attempting to join ISIS. She was arrested at her home Friday. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Kiona Thomas was planning to travel overseas to join the terror organization. 30-year-old Thomas is said to have been posting pro-ISIS comments on Twitter since 2013. Investigators say Thomas applied for a passport earlier this year and was looking for routes to meet up with ISIS militants. If convicted, Thomas could spend 15 years behind bars. Good morning, I'm Emily Younger. Today is Saturday, April 4th. We'll get to your top stories in just a few moments. But first, we're following breaking news this morning. New Mexico State Police are investigating a police shooting in Edgewood. They say a law enforcement officer shot and killed a suspect, but they haven't said which agency that officer is with. State police say there was some kind of altercation involving multiple people in multiple scenes. We'll keep you updated as information comes into our newsroom. As always, stay with us on air and online at KRQE.com. Now let's get to your weather. Here's Chris Gilson.
Good Saturday morning. The breezes that we had during the overnight hours out of the canyon are coming down. Temperatures starting out on the chilly side in the low to mid 40s. By the afternoon, it will be warmer today compared to your Friday. Temperatures into lower 60s by lunchtime, and we'll top out in the low to mid 70s, but it will be breezy at times throughout the day today, with high temperatures topping out in the 60s in Santa Fe and Taos, middle 60s in Roswell and Carlsbad, in the 70s in TRC and Alamogordo. Now, there is a chance for some rain today along with stronger winds. We'll talk about that in your full forecast in just a few minutes.
News 13 has obtained a report that shows animal welfare employees had concerns over how dogs were handled at the shelters nearly 3 years ago. City leaders knew about it, but nothing was done until similar allegations surfaced this week. News 13's Gabrielle Burkhart took the concerns to the mayor.
Dangerous or adoptable, a dozen former and current Albuquerque animal welfare employees expressed concerns about the city's shelters back in 2012. A 15-page Inspector General report looked into complaints about a hostile work environment, care for animals, and policy violations. Many complaints point to the shelter's director, Barbara Bruin. She told us Tuesday.
There's always disagreements.
Bruin and the department are now the subject of a new investigation. Two high-ranking employees complained last week that the city was releasing dangerous dogs to the public, more than 200 just last year. Some had attacked people and pets. Employees claim Bruin and volunteers would remove a dog from the euthanasia list knowing it was dangerous. That same complaint shows up in the 2012 report, stating the director would routinely remove animals from the list or negate it altogether. The mayor and top city officials were sent the 2012 report.
Is that something you were aware of back then?
We're always trying to listen. We're always trying to do better. The fact is, we brought Director Bruin in to be disruptive, to take the department to the next level. She's certainly done that.
The mayor touts the large drop in euthanasia rates and increase in adoptions, but some staffers argue that's partly because they've been keeping dogs they shouldn't be.
They have some concerns. We take those incredibly seriously.
The Inspector General made recommendations after the 2012 investigation, but the city says nothing was ever done with those suggestions.
So for some reason it wasn't adopted. Therefore, it's just not a report that, that we use to manage the city.
Gabrielle Burkhart, KRQE News 13.
As far as why the report wasn't adopted in 2012, we're told a city committee didn't approve it. The reason, though, is unknown at this point since those meetings are not public. Since the new investigation was launched, city shelters put a stop to adopting out any questionable dogs who may have failed a portion of a behavior test. Those dogs will be retested by an outside party before the shelter decides if they should be put down. Bruin told us on Tuesday she doesn't believe the behavior tests should dictate whether a dog should live or die. A dad has turned in his daughter to police for stealing his very pricey sports collection. The Albuquerque man went to APD saying his daughter, Michelle Ortiz, stole a portion of his baseball memorabilia. Police say Ortiz sold the collection worth almost $100,000 online. Collectors say the man's baseball collection, which includes 50 complete sets of valuable cards, is hard to find.
It's very uncommon. You can find individual cards from those years, but to have something in a complete set is very uncommon here in Albuquerque or in New Mexico.
Some of the items have been recovered, but there's still one very significant one missing, a baseball with Babe Ruth's autograph on it. According to police, Ortiz sold it to a buyer in Indiana. Ortiz is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center. The former APD officer who shot and killed a woman is being sued for excessive force in another case. Dennis Shoemaker filed a lawsuit against Jeremy Deere stemming from a 2013 arrest. According to court documents, Shoemaker got into a fight downtown and Deere came over to break it up. However, the lawsuit alleges Deere never identified himself and punched Shoemaker. The lawsuit also says APD never released police lapel video. APD fired Deere in November for misconduct and lying when he didn't turn on his camera when he shot and killed suspected car thief Mary Hawks. And parents of 9 kids on board a school bus when it crashed are suing. The lawsuit claims the bus driver, 69-year-old Pat Valdez, was going 10 to 15 miles over the speed limit when the bus crashed near Ojo Caliente back in 2013. Valdez died and several of the kids were seriously hurt. One kid suffered a broken back. In the lawsuit, the parents are suing Valdez's estate, the women who hired him, the Mesa Vista Consolidated Schools, as well as the Public Education Department. We've heard of the Grinch stealing Christmas, but stealing Easter? A New Mexico woman was in for a surprise when she caught Easter egg thieves on camera. The Vaughn family had just left their Hobbs home, and moments later, you can see two young girls run into the family's yard and snatch two big Easter egg decorations. Stephanie Vaughn then posted the surveillance video on Facebook in hopes of finding the thieves. She says she doesn't want the eggs back. She just wants an apology and wants the girls in the video to learn a lesson not to steal.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's something little can turn into something big if you don't take a stand now.
How did you guys feel whenever you got the eggs taken?
I got mad.
Very mad. Late Friday, we learned one of the girls in the video came forward and apologized to the Vaughn family. The Artesia Police Department needs your help finding a burglar. Police say it happened earlier this week off of West Dallas and South 4th Street. Someone broke into a 2010 Toyota Camry and took several items, including a bulletproof vest. The total loss is about $785. If you know anything about this theft, Crime Stoppers is offering a reward up to $1,000. Governor Susana Martinez has chosen the former mayor of Estancia, Republican Ted Barela, to take over a vacant Senate seat. Democrat Phil Griego resigned in the middle of the last session. 6 counties that make up Senate District 39 had submitted their recommendations, but the governor had the final say. Griego held the seat for more than 18 years, but submitted his resignation last month because of an ethics issue that stemmed from a real estate deal. The California teen boys who sexually assaulted a 15-year-old girl have apologized, ending a wrongful death suit in an unusual way. The 2 teens admitted to sexually assaulting Audrey Pott in 2012. They took pictures during the attack, then shared them with others at school. Audrey killed herself days later. The unusual deal means the teens will make 10 presentations at high schools about the dangers of drinking, sexting, sharing nude photos, and more. Some think the deal is too lenient.
This is crazy. I mean, it just seems almost as if they're making this a school project, which it's very much not.
I don't feel like it's going to teach kids a lesson. They're going to do whatever they're going to do regardless.
Others disagree, saying the punishment might help teach other teens the dangers of sexual assault. As part of the agreement, the men, now 18, will also talk honestly about what happened in a documentary, but won't have to show their faces. A California man has been sentenced to 18 years in prison for his revenge porn site. Kevin Bollard was convicted earlier this year of identity theft and felony counts of extortion. Authorities say the 28-year-old allowed users to upload thousands of sexually explicit photos of women on his website. He then created another website for the women to pay money to have their pictures removed. This is the first conviction for an operator of a revenge porn site.